Hello my soccer universe, for a review of the midweek action. We had only 2 leagues that had midweek rounds, but they were rather interesting and momentous in a way. The Eredivisie, we had the big turnaround on top of the table. PSV are now in control with only a single game to go. Then we had in Spain, of course, Barcelona winning La Liga in their rival stadium, but there were other decisions as well. We know pretty much who is gonna go down. We know pretty much who is gonna play in the Champions League. So there's only little to play for left in La Liga. However, it was all decided in this round. But before we go to La Liga, let's get started in the Eredivisie for this crazy turnaround. Well, Europe's biggest bottle shop is very much on. PSV got an easy 4-1 home win over Heracles, leading already 4-0 at halftime. Tilman Saibari scoring each a brace, and it was just one-way traffic to the point that the PSV players could even react to the score coming out of Groningen when they were taking a corner kick. It was when Groningen equalized. You could see there was a corner kick about to be taken, and suddenly the PSV players are celebrating. Engels in the 75th minute pulls one back for Heracles, but that was actually the non-story. Everybody looked at the result in Groningen, what Ajax is going to do. And Ajax took the lead in the 27th minute, however, from Barc in the 52nd manages an equalizer. And an equalizer would have paired with PSV's win, meant that Ajax are, instead of 1 point ahead of PSV, 1 point behind. However, Wout Weghorst in the 68th minute manages to get Ajax on top again. And they hang on to that one, potentially had a few chances as well, but it was Groningen, who had actually nothing to play for except for this playoff spot. And the race for this playoff spot is really, really wild, because we have now 7 teams within 2 points for the final 2 places. So that is probably remarkable. That's why Groningen were playing all out. But it seemed like it's done and dusted when in the 93rd minute Valente is sent off for a really horrific tackle. And you thought, yeah, with a man more, Ajax is gonna get this home. No, they give away a really stupid free kick in a very promising position, and then the free kick comes in. There's a whole melee from the Ajax goal. The goalie also didn't look good, and the ball is in the net with a man less. Wild celebrations, of course, in Groningen as well. It's 2-2, and Ajax are now a point behind PSV with only a single game to go. And they have the harder opponent in the next round. Now, to put this disaster a little bit into perspective, yes, Ajax enjoyed a 9-point lead not too long ago and seemed like a foregone conclusion to finish champions of the Netherlands against the odds, because ahead of the season everyone said how great PSV are, and PSV are the best team in the league if I just look at the squad. However, still, if you cannot get such a cushion over the line, that is gonna hurt for a long time, and I'm not sure how this Ajax team is gonna get out of this one. Their eternal rivals Feyenoord, though, get Champions League done thanks to a 2-0 home win over Waalwijk. Not much to talk home about Peshao in the way they're scoring. However, paired with a 1-1 between Utrecht and Sparta Rotterdam, this means Feyenoord are in the Champions League qualification round next year. Whereas Utrecht are in the playoff round for the Europa League. We also know that on the bottom things are now settled. NAC Breda did lose, however Willem II also lost, so they are in the playoff spot and cannot really be called by Waalwijk anymore as well, and Almere were already down. So the last thing that is kind of left to play for are the playoff spots. We know that the Go Ahead Eagles, thanks to the cup win, already are in the Europa League. But in the playoff for the Conference League, AZ and Twente were fighting for this top seed. And it is AZ who go to Twente and beat them 3-2. A perfect 3-2 win, as I like to call it, because Van Bommel gave them the lead in the 3rd minute. Van Wolfswinkel and Vlap by the 23rd minute had turned it around for Twente, but then Mainans in stoppage time of the first half equalizes, and Casius in the 71st minute gets the winner for AZ, who now sit 2 points ahead of Twente and are very much odds on to finish as the top seed in the Conference League playoff. We also had a full midweek round in La Liga that was quite decisive. There's only little to play for in La Liga anymore, although, some slim outside chances could happen. One certainty that happened is that Girona will survive next season thanks to a very late Christian Stuani goal. He's 38 at Real Valladolid, last place Real Valladolid. Real Sociedad are really feeling how many players they have lost at the beginning of the season. Imanol is also not getting to the squad anymore, and now they continue their bad form. Losing at home to Celta 1-0 with Alfonso Gonzalez scoring the winning goal in the 44th minute, meaning that Celta are very likely playing in Europe next season. Not even only Europe, Europa League looks very likely, although I think this could also be a fun team in the Conference League. However, the world's best Europa League team have completely different worries. Sevilla beat Las Palmas 1-0 thanks to a Pascual goal, thus securing their survival but also relegating Las Palmas, because on the next day Alaves got a huge 1-0 win over Valencia thanks to a Juan Jordan penalty, very contentious penalty decision, meaning that Las Palmas cannot catch Alaves anymore. However, Alaves, while looking good, still not through quite yet. The dreams of Europe for Valencia, though, those are over, but those were anyway very, very lofty. However, their local rivals Villarreal will not most definitely play in the Champions League. They got a 3-0 home win over Leganés, a result that really hurt Leganés. Jose Perez scoring a brace to open up the scoring, and then Pepe adding on a third, meaning that Villarreal enjoy a pretty good cushion and are most likely the 5th Champions League team for Spain. And then Mallorca almost started the celebrations in Barcelona, holding a 1-0 lead at the Bernabeu through Valiente. Actually, really nicely curl shot in the 11th minute, but there was a good chance by André, especially in the second half. It was an onslaught by Real Madrid. It seemed to be only a matter of time until they break down Mallorca, and it is then Mbappé who, after Modric assist in the 68th minute, gets the equalizer. That still would have been enough for Barcelona to be already champions on the couch. What's also remarkable is that Real Madrid, the first team squad, was kind of okay, but they had almost no one on the bench. They only made 2 substitutions, bringing Vallejo and Garcia. Yes, I have not heard of these either. And it is then the young guys, Vallejo with a cross in that seemingly the Mallorca defense is clearing. However, Ramon is getting his foot in there and lobs the goalie to get a 95th minute winner, thus delaying the title party in Barcelona. Atleti are also pretty much on the beach already. They lose at Osasuna after an absolute nothing performance, 2-0. And that means that Osasuna, who looked like relegation candidate not too long ago, might actually end up in a European spot, because they drew level now with Rayo, who only managed a 2-2 draw with Real Betis, and Betis also losing points in their fight for the last Champions League spot. Rayo had a 2-0 halftime lead through De Frutos and Lejeune. However, Cuchi Hernandez and Isco get the equalizer for Betis, and it's a draw that doesn't really help either one of these. Athletic Club, meanwhile, will be for sure in the Champions League with a 2-0 win at Getafe, Guruzeta and Vivian scoring the 2 goals, and at least some silver lining after this really good season that ended in such a disaster in the Europa League semi-final. And then all eyes were on the Derby Barcelonese, as I call it. I don't know why everyone calls it the Catalan Derby. Those are 2 teams from the same city, and Barcelona did not really show up in the first half. Espanyol very well could have taken the lead, however it all changes in the second half. Lamine Yamal, after Olmo sends him, makes a run and very nicely puts it high in the corner. Absolute peach of a goal. And then when Cabrera was sent off for elbowing Yamal in the stomach, it was clear that Barcelona is going to win this one. The second half performance was a much more convincing one than the first half performance. We also saw that Lamine Yamal maybe got a little bit wiser, because he had the chance to go on goal in stoppage time. However, he went to the corner flag to waste some time. And if you do that against Inter, Barcelona are probably in the final. However, Fermin Lopez did not get that memo, and he scores the 2-0 in the 95th minute. And then the players wanted to celebrate. However, the sprinklers went on. Hansi Flick said, celebrate in the locker room. Lamine Yamal was the only one who straight went down to the locker room. And then Hansi Flick ended the party very quickly before there's another scandal in the RCDE stadium in Barcelona. So this ends the brief journey from the Netherlands to Spain. I also didn't add a whole lot more jerseys, because those are the teams that performed well during the midweek. If you want to know more about my thoughts on the Coppa Italia final, you can hear those, of course, in a separate video, which I'm linking up here. Otherwise, please let me know, what do you think will happen on the last weekend in the Eredivisie? Will we see another upset, or PSV is going to cruise this home? I think that's what's going to happen. And who will get the European spots in La Liga? I think that's quite exciting as well. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like these, and I will talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye! Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!